Yassas, and welcome to Greek News Global. I'm John Mangos. In this bulletin, Turkey tells the UK there was never a firman for the Parthenon Marbles. Lupita Nyongo pushes back on Odyssey casting criticism. The Greek Herald turns 100. And Olympiacos wins the Euroloeague Basketball title. Turkey has delivered a potentially devastating blow to the British Museum's claim over the Parthenon Marbles, declaring at a UNESCO summit in Paris that exhaustive searches of the famously meticulous Ottoman imperial archives uncovered no legal decree, or firman, ever authorising Lord Elgin to remove the sculptures from the Acropolis. The statement, delivered by senior Turkish anti-smuggling official Zeynep Boz at UNESCO's Cultural Property Committee, directly challenges Britain's long-standing legal justification for retaining the antiquities in London. Turkey also demanded the British Museum stop using the alleged firman and has the basis for its ownership claim. Historians have for years searched the Ottoman archives and have not been able to find a firman proving the sale was legal, Boz said. What researchers did uncover were shipping manifests linked to Elgin's cargo leaving the port of Piraeus for England. Experts say the paperwork described the contents only as ceramics and stones with images, with no mention of the Parthenon sculptures themselves, suggesting the cargo may have been deliberately underdeclared because Elgin lacked permission to remove the marbles. In another major win for Athens, the UNESCO committee formally recognised for the first time that the 2,500-year-old sculptures are an inseparable part of Greek cultural identity, while urging direct negotiations before next year's summit. But the British Museum has seemingly ignored the Turkish revelations, choosing to focus on future partnerships instead of the question of ownership of the Parthenon marbles. In a carefully worded statement, the museum said talks with Greece over a possible Parthenon partnership remain constructive and ongoing. But it made no direct reference to Turkey's bombshell claim that exhaustive searches of Ottoman imperial archives uncovered no firman or Sultan's decree, ever authorising Lord Elgin to remove the sculptures from Athens, nor Turkey's call for them to stop citing the firman as a legitimate document proving ownership. Despite Turkey's assistance on the matter of the marbles, elsewhere the relationship continues to be far from cordial. Turkey's state-run Anadolu agency is now calling on Greece to apologise for alleged massacres committed against Turks during the 1821 Greek Revolution. In a controversial new article, Turkish historian Professor Ali Fuat Orenç says Greece should at least apologise for what he describes as the systematic killing of tens of thousands of Ottoman Muslims in the Peloponnese during the uprising against Ottoman rule. The report focuses on the fall of Tripolitsa in 1821, calling it a rare example of brutality in history, and claims women and children were later sold into slavery. Anadolu also accuses Greece of building its national identity around hostility towards Turks and links the events of 1821 to present-day disputes in the Aegean. Critics have condemned the article as a politically charged attempt to rewrite the history of the Greek War of Independence. Staying in Turkey, and tensions between Greece and Turkey remain elevated following renewed disagreements over maritime boundaries and energy exploration in the eastern Mediterranean. Greek officials have accused Ankara of provocative rhetoric and monitoring activities near disputed waters, while Turkey insists it's protecting its national interests in the region. The eastern Mediterranean remains strategically important because of potential natural gas reserves and key shipping routes. Despite ongoing diplomatic communication between Athens and Ankara, analysts say mistrust between the two NATO neighbours continues to shape regional security concerns. Oscar winner Lupita Nyongo is pushing back against criticism over her casting as Helen of Troy in Christopher Nolan's upcoming epic, The Odyssey. The actress has come under fire online, including from Elon Musk, with critics arguing a black actress should not portray the iconic figure from Greek mythology. But speaking with Elle magazine, Nyongo dismissed the backlash, saying Homer's Odyssey is a work of myth, and praising Nolan's vision for a cast that represents the world. Nyongo says she's not wasting time defending the role, adding the film is occupying the epic narrative of our time. The Odyssey is one of Nolan's most anticipated projects, reimagining the ancient Greek tale for a modern global audience. A striking photo of the Athens skyline has ignited outrage across Greece, with critics accusing developers of launching an assault on the city's historic character. The viral image, captured by photographer Vasilis Stamos, shows the giant Riviera Tower under construction, appearing to dwarf the ancient Acropolis. Using a powerful telephoto lens, the photographer compressed the distance between the two landmarks, creating a dramatic optical illusion. Social media users blasted the skyscraper as a monstrosity and a direct attack on Athens' historic skyline, with some comparing it with the Dark Tower of Orthanc from The Lord of the Rings. Supporters, however, argue the project represents economic progress and a more modern Athens. Former Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras has announced a political comeback, launching a new left-wing movement aimed at challenging the government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis. Speaking in Athens, Mr Tsipras criticised rising living costs, housing pressures and inequality, saying many Greeks feel left behind despite the country's economic recovery. The former Syriza leader stepped away from frontline politics after his party's heavy election defeat in 2023. Analysts say his return could reshape Greece's opposition landscape and potentially unite fragmented left-wing parties ahead of future national elections. The announcement has already triggered strong reactions across Greece's political spectrum. Greek authorities have arrested 20 people in Crete as part of a major investigation into alleged fraud involving European Union agricultural subsidies. Officials believe millions of euros may have been illegally claimed through false land and livestock declarations linked to Greece's farm payment system. The scandal has become one of the country's biggest political controversies this year, with pressure growing on the government to explain how the payments were approved. Opposition parties are demanding full transparency, while European investigators continue examining whether public officials or organised networks were involved in the alleged scheme. A Greek-managed oil tanker has reportedly suffered a serious explosion near the coast of Oman, adding to growing security concerns in the Middle East. The incident comes amid heightened regional tensions involving Iran, Israel, and international shipping routes through the Gulf region. Greek maritime authorities are closely monitoring developments, with concerns over the safety of Greek-owned vessels operating in some of the world's busiest energy corridors. Greece controls one of the world's largest merchant shipping fleets, making regional instability a major issue for the country's economy and international trade sector. Greek authorities are on alert as a livestock disease outbreak continues spreading through parts of northern Greece, raising concerns for farmers and the agricultural sector. Officials have introduced quarantine measures and movement restrictions in affected regions as veterinarians work to contain the spread of sheep and goat pox. Thousands of animals have already been culled in an effort to stop the outbreak from expanding further. The situation has created growing anxiety among farming communities, with concerns over financial losses and possible impacts on Greece's food supply and agricultural exports. Significant changes to the way mayors and regional governors are elected in Greece are being introduced by a new local government code presented by the Ministry of Interior, with the new model largely resembling the preferential voting system that's applied to Australia for decades. The most important reform concerns the abolition of the second round of local government elections. From 2028, mayors and regional governors will be elected on a single Sunday through the use of an alternative or supplementary vote in a process that directly refers to the Australian preferential voting system. Voters will continue to choose the main ticket and the councillors as happens today, but for the first time they'll also have the ability to declare a second preference among the remaining tickets. If no candidate gathers above 42% in the first round, then a second phase of allocation of the alternative votes will be activated. The system presents strong similarities with the Australian electoral process, where voters number the candidates in order of preference, and if nobody gathers the required majority, the votes are gradually redistributed until a winner emerges. For the Greek community of Australia, this change is particularly interesting because thousands of expatriate Greeks have already become familiar with the Australian voting system in federal, state and municipal elections. This month, the Greek Herald, or Kyrikas, marks 100 years of continuous publication. It's Australia's longest-running newspaper and one of the oldest migrant-founded publications still operating in the country. The milestone was celebrated at a function attended by the Governor of New South Wales, Margaret Beazley, at the State Parliament building, with the event also attracting hundreds of Greek Australians from politics, the judiciary, business, sport and the media. Speakers included the Minister for Industrial Relations, Sophie Kotsis, and the Leader of the State Opposition, Kelly Sloan. Other speakers included the Consul General for the Hellenic Republic in Sydney, Yorgos Skemperis, and the Ambassador for Cyprus, Andonis Samoutis. All who spoke commended the newspaper on how it functioned as a lifeline and a forum. The Honourable Sophie Kotsis.
The Herald has contributed to Australian society and the life of Greek Australians. In the post-war years, many new Greek and Cypriot arrivals came to Australia. For those migrants coming to Australia, didn't speak English, and the Greek Herald became a lifeline. The Herald was not just the connection to the Greek diaspora, but a connection to broader Australia. The Greek language reported on jobs, on job ads, current affairs and Australian sport meant that new Australians could truly become part of our nation.
Tributes were also paid to the owner and CEO of the paper, Dimitra Skelkos, by Consul General Skemperis.
I want to really express my huge admiration for Dimitra because I know from my family's experience how hard it is for a young woman in her late 20s to take over such a big institution with a very heavy legacy. So Dimitra, you should know, whenever I think about you, I think of this mythical giant Atlas who was carrying the world on his shoulders, and I hope that you will carry on keeping the flag high for Greece and for democratic values. Thank you very much.
In 1972, under the stewardship of Dimitra's father, Theo Skelkos, the Greek Herald transitioned the publication into a full daily national production and is to this day the only daily Greek newspaper printed outside of Greece globally. In the year 2000, the paper was recognised by the President of the Hellenic Republic, Kostas Stefanopoulos, as the best Greek-language newspaper in the global diaspora. And you can hear more about the Greek Herald story right here on Uzo Talk with our recent episode with publisher Dimitra Skelkos. Sporting news now, and Olympiacos are celebrating one of the biggest moments in modern Greek sport after defeating Real Madrid 92-85 to win the Euroloeague Basketball title in Athens. The victory delivers the club's fourth European crown and ends a 13-year wait for continental glory. Thousands of supporters flooded the streets of Piraeus and central Athens, waving red and white flags and lighting flares as celebrations continued into the early hours of the morning. The triumph is being hailed as a major moment for Greek basketball, with Olympiacos once again establishing themselves among Europe's elite clubs after a dramatic and emotional final in front of a packed home crowd. Olympiacos owner Evangelos Marinakis has made headlines following reports of a heated confrontation during the Euroloeague final in Athens. Greek media say the incident involved the nephew of Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis inside the VIP section shortly after Olympiacos secured the European basketball title. Videos and images from the arena quickly spread across social media, fueling intense discussion in Greece about tensions between powerful sporting and political figures. While details surrounding the confrontation remain unclear, the incident has added another dramatic chapter to what was already an emotional night for Greek sport following Olympiacos' historic Euroloeague victory. Heavyweight Greek-Australian sports administrator Peter V'landys is stepping into the National Rugby League top job, at least for now. The ARL Commission Chair has taken long service leave from Racing New South Wales, where he also administers, to become interim NRL CEO from July 15, following the shock resignation of Andrew Abdo this week. Speaking at Rugby League Central, V'landys joked he was still recovering from the fetal position after hearing the news.
Andrew will be here till the 15th
After
of July.
that?
After that, yes. I will be taking on executive duties until a replacement is found. I've taken 4 months long service leave from my current role at Racing New South Wales to take this on. It's in a very important time for rugby league. We've got the biggest deal we'll ever do in the broadcast deal.
While he insists he won't step down as ARL chairman to take the role permanently, he hasn't completely ruled it out, despite constitutional hurdles that would require major changes to the league's governance structure. The move comes at a crucial time for the NRL, who are currently in the process of negotiating the game's next TV rights deal, a deal expected to be the most lucrative in the Code's 118-year history. Greek swimmer Christian Golomiev has become the first athlete to break a world record at the controversial Enhanced Games in Las Vegas. The 32-year-old clocked 20.81 seconds in the men's 50-metre freestyle, beating the official world mark held by Australia's Cameron McAvoy. However, the performance will not be recognised by international sporting authorities because the Enhanced Games allow the use of performance-enhancing drugs and banned equipment. Critics, including anti-doping officials and sporting bodies, have condemned the event, arguing it undermines athlete welfare and the integrity of sport. The result has also sparked debate online, with some social media users questioning the timing system. Event organisers have rejected those claims, calling them unfounded and insisting the certified timing equipment was independently verified. Golomiev's swim remains the only world record broken at the inaugural Games. And finally, 15-year-old Greek science prodigy Viktoras Yannikopoulos is reaching for the stars and getting noticed by NASA along the way. The teenager has gained international attention after pitching a bold mission designed to succeed the legendary Voyager probes launched in 1977. His dream is to use advanced technology to reach interstellar space faster and eventually explore distant solar systems, including Camelopardalis. But Viktoras isn't stopping at astrophysics. He also hopes to combine medicine and artificial intelligence and is already researching patterns linked to cancer patients. And while most teens are worrying about exams, Viktoras says after school he simply finishes his homework, then gets back to working on space missions with NASA. And that's it for this edition of Greek News Global, recorded on the 28th of May 2026. I'm John Mangos. Gya σας και να είστε καλά.